Puebla, Mexico. It's a city famous for its colonial architecture and its hand-painted Talavera pottery. But if you're paying attention, you know Puebla is really the beating culinary heart of the country. This is where the old world violently crashed into the new world. It's the birthplace of mole poblano, chiles en nogada, and the undisputed heavyweight champion of working-class comfort food, chicken tinga. Right now, what you're looking at is just a boil. It isn't glamorous, but you can't rush the foundation. We are essentially building a fortified stock. The chicken, an old world bird brought over by the Spanish, is swimming in the pot, giving up every ounce of flavor before we pull it out and shred it to pieces. At the minute-and-a-half mark, the base of our sauce hits the water. Tomatoes, garlic, the aromatics. We are just softening them up, getting them ready for the blender. That tomato base? The Aztecs were cultivating these centuries before the rest of Europe even knew they existed. The word tomato actually comes from the Nahuatl word, tomato. Now they come out, and this is where the magic happens. The entire soul of this dish lives inside a little tin can, the chipotle in adobo. To understand this, you have to go back to Mesoamerica, hundreds of years before the Spanish arrived. They didn't have refrigeration. Smoke was the ancient world's refrigerator. The Aztecs realized jalapenos had flesh too thick to dry in the sun. They'd rot first. So they laid them over wood fires and smoked them. The Nahuatl word is chipotle, literally smoked chili. An ancient survival tactic turned into culinary gold. We blend it all together. Tomatoes native to the Americas, garlic and vinegar from Europe, all tied together by the smoke of that Aztec chili. History in a blender. We cut to the pan, oil and heat. Before the meat goes back in, we have to talk about the unsung hero of Tinga, the onion. Onions weren't native to the Americas. The Spanish brought them over on ships. But the second they hit the Mexican soil, they became the backbone of the cuisine. We aren't just sweating a few aromatics here. A proper tinga is practically an onion stew. You slice them thin, you fry them in oil, and you cook them down until they surrender. They provide this deep, underlying sweetness that cuts right through the aggressive heat of the chipotle. The shredded chicken goes in and the adobo follows right behind it. When that blended sauce hits the hot pan, it should sound angry. That's the adobo waking up. It stains the pan, it stains the spoon, and it should. Notice the shred on the chicken. You want it pulled fine. We aren't looking for chunks, we are building a sponge. Every single separated fiber of this meat needs to act like a wick, soaking up that adobo. That is the fundamental difference between a dry taco filling and an actual, proper tinga. Traditionally, you wouldn't cook this in a metal pan. You'd use a cazuela, a massive shallow clay pot. The unglazed clay actually breathes and imparts a slight rustic earthiness to the adobo as it reduces. We're using metal today, but the principle of reduction is exactly the same. Now you wait. Cooking is mostly just patience and evaporation. You let it simmer. The water needs to cook out, leaving behind only the concentrated fat and flavor. Now, full disclosure, look at my pan. You'll see a bit of a puddle going on. It's my first time making this, and I pulled it in a minute or two early. That's a little on the watery side. Learn from my impatience. You really want to keep it on the heat until all that liquid evaporates, and it looks thick, heavy, and loud red. "7 minutes and 20 seconds in, and we are ready to build. But you don't put tinga in a soft tortilla. The wetness of the meat would destroy it in seconds. You put it on a tostada. To understand the tostada, you have to understand that in Mexico, corn is sacred. It is life. You do not throw it away. Historically, the tostada was simply the ingenious answer to stale tortillas. In pre-Columbian times, if a tortilla dried out, you'd leave it on the comal, the griddle, until it toasted all the way through. Later on, when the Spanish introduced pigs and frying techniques, those stale tortillas got fried in lard. They took a liability, old bread, and turned it into an edible plate with a shelf life. We're building 3 of them here, and it is an exercise in edible architecture. Traditionally, refried beans go down first to act as a mortar, sealing the crispy corn away from the wet meat. But we cook with what we've got, and today, I didn't have beans, so we are breaking protocol. We go straight in with a heavy spread of Mexican crema as the base layer. That crema is richer, slightly sweeter, and less acidic than standard sour cream. Then, the tinga goes right on top of that. Cool it off with a crisp shredded lettuce. Finally, the cheese. Normally, you'd finish with a dusting of salty, funky cotija. They call it the Parmesan of Mexico. Again, I didn't have any. so I used actual Parmesan. It doesn't melt, it still delivers that massive punch of salt and gets the job done without apologizing for it. Acid, fat, crunch, salt, and heat. Eating a tostada is a messy, chaotic experience. One bite and the whole structural integrity threatens to detonate in your hands. You'll drop the pieces. Your hands will get stained. It demands your respect, and it demands your full attention. Just the way it should be.